Hey everybody, Rich from Elk Endeavors here. Hey, today I wanted to talk about story. I wanted to continue my ideas about story that we started talking about yesterday. But I wanted to talk more about how stories, how you, the need to collect stories that you have created for yourself, and also the need to think about how they've changed your trajectory in life. Okay, first, before I get started, I'd love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so that you can get notifications of when I put out new videos, which is once a day. And also, please leave me a comment and let me know how I'm doing, and if you have any topics that you would like me to discuss, happy to discuss them on my channel. But I wanted to talk about stories, and one of the things I think I might have talked about yesterday, but I really struggled with storytelling when I was in high school and college. I was actually known for my inability to tell stories, and so I've come a long way since then, at least in my opinion. And it's, I love telling stories, and I have a lot of stories. Like I've kind of cultivated a life through which I've created a lot of stories for myself. So I'm very fortunate in that, because not many people have that ability, and not many people, have kind of lived in the same way that I did, right? Or that I have, I should say. And so I continue to build those stories, and that's important. But now that I'm trying to utilize those stories in an effective way, it sort of becomes a different idea, right? So what I wanted to talk about was like sort of the ripple effect of stories, and all of the ripple effect of the things that happen to you, and then how different things sort of change the trajectory of your life, or of my life, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is a ripple effect. And one of the things that I think is important is that, when you talk about the ripple effect, it's like if you throw a pebble in the water, and theoretically, and I think actually, like some part of a ripple goes like all the way across the water, if in a lake, and same thing with the ocean, and symbolically anyway, it goes across. If not literally, I think in a lake it actually like physically does, but I'm not sure about that. I'm not a physics major. I'm just talking about stories. So at any rate, so that's like the ripple effect. So the other day, this just happened to me the other day. I think I pulled out of my driveway. That's what it was. I pulled out of my driveway, and someone was speeding down the road, going too fast. But they were really angry that I had pulled out of my driveway, and I misjudged the speed at which they were going. So they they tailed me, and I had both my kids in the car, which is really like irritating when I have my kids in my car. I mean, it's irritating enough, but like when you're concerned about the safety of your children, it's a whole other ballgame, right? So I waved, in back of me, and just let them know that I knew I made a mistake. When I finally went to make my turn, and the problem was that like I drove up my road, and I had to make a right turn, and you really have to slow down like a ways in advance to make this right turn. So I make my right turn, and the person like launches past me, giving me the finger, and I had both my kids in my car, and I wouldn't really do this anyway. Now I used to, but I could have just given them the finger right back, and that wouldn't have helped anybody, right? But instead, I said, "I'm sorry, I apologize," or no, "I'm sorry. I love you and I forgive you." And I just said that out loud, and I looked at the car, and my daughter was like, "What? Who are you talking to?" And I was like, "That person that just got upset with me because I cut them off." And she was like, "Why did you say that?" And I explained to her, but it was really important. Like to me, that was a ripple effect, and the idea for me was that like there's a ripple effect in that person's life, like whether obviously they didn't hear me, but like I have to believe, or I do believe, that there's a vibe that I put out that like will help them feel better. So whatever was frustrating them, because clearly it wasn't just me that like they were going way too fast anyway. So it wasn't just me that upset them. And so hopefully that was helpful to them. But it also helped me help my kids understand that's a way to react to anger. Like if they're angry, they don't give someone the finger. They can say like, "I love you and I forgive you, and I'm sorry." Like and that's that. Like I didn't really think about it anymore until I was writing my blog post and then preparing for for this video. So at any rate, so that's like a small ripple effect. But then you also have, sorry, I'm like bouncing my phone around here. You also have the I'm going to turn this light off. My like little doll lamp. There we go. You also have this idea of a big ripple effect, and that's something where you know like something has changed. Even though you might not at that moment realize that it's changing your life, it does change your life. And so there was a point in I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago, actually like five years ago, when my son. We were pregnant with my first son, and we were at my wife's aunt's house for the weekend, and we happened upon this beautiful farmhouse. It was like literally right down the hill from her house, and so we fell into it, and it was like immediately we stopped in. And we fell in love with the place, and we actually had a handshake agreement within an hour that we were going to buy the house. And we were so excited, and it was like all these different things, but we were like so excited about this place because it was gorgeous. And it was right up, right next to my wife's aunt's house, and there's all these things. But there were a lot of red flags, which was like it was an hour and a half away from my work. It was an hour away from our parents, which was a lot further away than we are now, and it was like 2 hours away from University of Pennsylvania, where I was getting my doctorate. So, but we loved the house, and so it kind of blinded us a little bit. And then through a series of events, and I'll say fortunate events, we lost the house. They didn't like the way that we were going about trying to sell our house, and we weren't going fast enough. And part of it was because like we actually had our second son like during the sale, and so they told us they weren't interested, and they backed out, which ended up being the best thing that could have happened, because had we bought that house, it turns out that they sold the land, and all the land, now there's houses all over. So you can't even see the fact that this is a farmhouse. It doesn't stand out. There's no room around it, for any type of outdoor activities. It's like all the houses are packed in. It's just not where we would want to, certainly not where we would choose to live. We would never buy a house in a packed in yard place that was like, if we were building a house. So anyway, that's just our style. So what it did was force us to sell the townhome we were living in, because once we got it in our head that we were going to have this house, we couldn't get it out, so we kept on. So the point is that that was a huge ripple effect, right? That was a huge trajectory changer, and now like we live in a much different house. We have an acre of land. We live in, I changed jobs, and now I'm doing affiliate entrepreneurship on the side, and like that's like it was a huge thing, and none of that would have happened had we gotten that house. And I don't know what would have happened. Maybe something even better, but maybe something worse, and I don't know. But the point is that it didn't, we didn't get to that point, and we're very grateful to be where we are. So what I want you to do, and the point of this whole thing is that like I want you to start collecting stories and collecting moments in your life, and thinking about how those moments have affected your life, but thinking about how they can affect other people's lives, right? How you can take that ripple effect that it had on you, and then make that ripple effect happen for other people, because it's one like tiny little thing that someone might need to push them into making a huge change in their life that they didn't know was possible, and that's really what all these stories that I'm collecting. And I'm actually now curating a collection of stories from my life, and there's ones that I go back to all the time. My bee in the pizza story, my Uber story, my parachuting story, my Appalachian Trail story, which I think I talked about last night, but like those are like my main four, I guess. But now I have to start thinking about like how I can, like all the different things that people bring up as like objections to sales and doing affiliate entrepreneurship. I can use all these examples to help them understand how big of a deal this is, and how not easy or simple, but like how easy and simple it really is. I mean, it's like it's not rocket science, you know. It's and people are doing it, and people are making a lot of money, and people are changing their lives and changing other people's lives. And that's a big that's the most important thing, right? I'm not worried about that. Like I've already skipped past like the money that I'm gonna make because I know I've already made it. Like in my head, I've already made it. It's just a matter of actually like making the money, which is just it's simply a matter of time and statistics. So now I'm thinking about like how I can impact other people's lives and how I can have ripple effects in many other people's lives. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope that was helpful. Please let me know in the comments if you liked what I'm doing, and if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you. And I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Have a great day.